Perfect. We got it. Thanks.
There you go.
Woo! Now we're going. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started with the anxious to anchored workshop. So how do we become anchored in the peace that's always available to us? So just as a little bit of an introduction here, if it hits next. So who am I? So my name's Claire Schemer. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm also a certified mastery method coach. So I love partnering with the Holy Spirit to support people and going deeper with their relationship with God, building intimacy with the Lord, as well as coming home to who God made us to really be, which is our truest nature, which is love itself. In that place, we feel peace, we feel calm, feel patience, all the beautiful fruits of the Spirit. I support people in coming home to that and living life from that place. So this very much relates to what we're going to talk about tonight. And as a therapist, my specialties are anxiety and trauma. So working with people in their anxiety is one of the primary things I support people with. So these are just going to be a few of the key tools that I teach all of my clients across the board who struggle with anxiety. However, the tools tonight are applicable for any time we're feeling any kind of emotion that's big or dysregulating, anything like that. But we're going to look at it from the frame of fear and anxiety. So before we get started, I just want to call people's attention to some things going on in the Rising Tide Fellowship right now. Different people are able to attend different things, but just so we're all on the same page, we have some weekly events going on. We have Thursday's weekly community coaching hour, where whatever you're struggling with your life, you can bring it to this community coaching hour to receive coaching on it every week. We have different coach every week who's supporting with that. The times you see on my screen is for Pacific time. That's where I'm located. But that is at 12 o'clock Central Time or 1 o'clock Eastern Time every Thursday. We also have weekly Bible study. Monday morning, start your week getting into the Word, 6:30 Pacific Time, 8:30 Central, or 9:30 Eastern. And then right now we also have our book club going on. So if you haven't hopped into that, really recommend it. Some really powerful replays. I'm not able to attend those, but the replays have been so good.
Hmm.
Supporting us with crucial conversations. So that is Monday evenings, 6 p.m. Central Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And lastly, I want to promote the upcoming Easter celebration community event we have coming on. This is the Tuesday after Easter, April 22nd. This is going to be a time to help bring the community together, because so often different ones of us can come to different things. This is one place where we can all come together to get to know each other, to get to know the coaches, and to celebrate the Easter season. We encourage people to bring your favorite beverage, and we can just grow and connect together. So that's going to be 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern next Tuesday. Would love to have you all there if you're able to make it. So if we're diving in, so where are we going today? So I'm first going to be covering what is anxiety? How do we make sense of that? We're going to look at it from a psychology perspective as well as a little bit of biblical. And then we're going to be talking about how do we anchor into peace from a body perspective. How do we regulate the body? Lots of different tools I have for us with that. Some you probably haven't heard before. We're also going to talk about how to anchor into peace by renewing the mind. How do we work the mindset? Because that's definitely a part of anxiety. And lastly, how do we shift our relationship with anxiety? The way we relate with it leads to how we're going to deal with it. And at the end, we'll have some group discussion. If people have questions, we can go into that. And I want to say as we go, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to unmute or to put something in the chat. Would be happy to interact as we go here. So what is anxiety? First and foremost, anxiety is a shared human experience. This is something that we all experience. It's part of the human existence we have here. We have a body, we have a psychology, and sometimes our psychology buys into belief systems that create anxiety. So some see it as purely a psychological issue. Some see it as more of a spiritual struggle, because we do have an enemy who wants to come and pull us out of peace, the peace that God promises for us. I really believe it's a mixture of both. Depending on the situation, it might be more one than the other, but we want to really look at it from both components. Either way, God is calling us to anchor into peace that is available. And that is from a spiritual perspective, but also from a nervous system perspective. How do we help our body and our mind to awaken to the peace that's always available here with Him? So, what does the Bible say about anxiety? There's a lot of different verses. There's only 3 we have here about how God calls us to not be anxious. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Ask God for support, but don't be anxious. Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. He loves us and he cares about our anxieties. He wants to support us. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. So he is wanting to support us with anxiety. We are called to not live in anxiety. It is possible for us to not have anxiety because he promises that it is possible for us. However, I think sometimes people can feel guilty or ashamed if anxiety does come up because the Bible is so clear that we are called to not have anxiety. And I really loved this C.S. Lewis quote about it. He says, some people feel guilty about their anxieties and regard them as a defect of faith. I don't agree at all. They are afflictions, not sins. Like all afflictions, they are, if we can so take them, our share in the passion of Christ. So what C.S. Lewis is telling us here is that we can unite our anxiety to the passion of Christ because it is a cross that we carry at times. For those of us who have it occasionally, anxiety, fearful thoughts, for those of us who have it more chronically or more consistently. Either way, this is something that God can use to build our faith. This is something that he can use. He can use anything because he's God, including our anxieties and including our fear. So I just love this perspective and wanted to share. So we can think of anxiety as both a mental and a physical state of negative expectation. So something in our mind and something in our body is telling us to be fearful of something in the future. Anxiety is typically a secondary emotion. So you often hear like anger is a secondary emotion, like underneath anger is hurt. Similarly with anxiety, underneath the anxious thoughts or the worrisome thoughts is something deeper, and it helps to get to the root of what that is. Do I feel unsafe right now? Do I feel fearful? Do I feel not enough? Whatever that root feeling is, that's what's causing anxiety. And it's helpful to kind of understand the difference and to get to the root of what actually is triggering it. The other thing about anxiety is that this is a sign of unfelt emotions. So when we are getting anxious, it usually means we're popping up in our head. We're up here, we're thinking about things, or we're in the body feeling sensations of like, I feel pressure in my chest, or I feel a knot in my stomach. It's a sign we're not dropping into the body to feel that emotion through. When we're not feeling it, then we're more likely to experience anxiety. And we'll be going into like, how do we feel an emotion? We'll go into that more in a bit. Can anxiety be healthy? Yes, it can. Yes, anxiety can definitely be healthy. It can help us to focus. It can help us to solve problems. It can motivate us to work harder, to be prepared. Think of when you were in school. If you were worried about an exam or a test, anxiety helps you study. If you have bills to pay and you're going to miss the deadline, that anxiety is going to come up to help propel you to take action, to do something about it. Anxiety is here ultimately to protect us. That's really what it's about. You can think of anxiety like our smoke detector alarms in our homes. It's an alarm system to just tell us if something is off. We don't want to get angry at the alarm system. The alarm system is there to just keep us safe. That's all it is. But it's like, what's causing that alarm? Was I just cooking bacon this morning and there was a little too much smoke and now it's going off? Or is there really a fire in the home and I need to take care of that? Either way, anxiety is just the alarm system saying, hey, I need to get your attention. Something's going on. So again, it's that secondary emotion. When does anxiety become unhealthy? So when anxiety is ongoing, it's intense, hard to control, or out of proportion to the situation, that's when we know this is more unhealthy. Clinical anxiety, when it's diagnosable, it's more like this. It's going on for longer periods of time than it's supposed to be. It's also when the mind and body perceive an unnecessary degree of threat for the situation. So that's when it becomes unhealthy too. The thing is, our nervous systems are built to have anxiety. It's supposed to be there in short bursts to get our attention. Again, with the smoke detector analogy, it's okay for that to go off in short bursts. But imagine if that smoke alarm was going off all the time. It would drive you crazy. It would really hurt your ears. It'd be hard on your nervous system. It's meant to go off in short bursts. It's really helpful. But when it's ongoing, that's when we know this is a problem we really want to address. When the mind and the body, or sorry, chronically believing on some level we will not be okay. That's ultimately what all anxiety boils down to in one way, shape, or form. Something in me believes I will not be okay. And I think sometimes it's helpful just to understand at the root, that's what it's about. So you may have heard of this before. There's something called polyvagal theory. This is basically kind of fancy terms for what is going on in the nervous system. So we have ventral vagal at the top of this ladder here. You think of your nervous system as this ladder. We're going up and down this ladder all the time. Even within one day, we go up and down this on all the levels, in mild forms to major forms. Rest and digest is ventral vagal. We're calm and grounded. We're connected to the people around us. We feel secure, alive, and peaceful. Again, peace is always available in a regulated state. But we can also go down the ladder into sympathetic, basically fight or flight. We're worried, we're anxious, upset, triggered easily, amped up, and this kind of go, go, go mode. That's that middle range. And then if our body's even more anxious or more stressed, it goes into dorsal vagal. So that's the freeze response. That's when we can get numb, sometimes even dissociated, forgetful and spacey, shut down and frozen, and it feels difficult to perform tasks. The whole body slows down. We can go back and forth between that fight or flight and that freeze response. But either way, anytime we're in those, it's really hard to feel grounded into the peace that God has available to us. It doesn't mean it's bad if we're in these things. Again, they serve a role. God created us with a nervous system, which is a beautiful thing. He made these three levels. These are all good things for different times in our life. But if we're getting stuck in some of these lower levels, this is where we're going to want tools we talk about today to get us back into that rest and digest, that ventral vagal state, to keep us calm and grounded and in a peaceful place. So I first want to go into, again, from a body-based perspective, what can we do physically to get us more regulated? Because in that state, peace comes naturally. God's peace is naturally accessible in that regulated state. So the first thing is diaphragmatic breathing. Our breathing is kind of like the remote control to our body and our nervous system. How are we feeling? When we do 5 slow, deep breaths, that is basically 1 minute of deep breathing. That alone will make a big difference. And the important thing with the deep breathing is we don't want to just be breathing with our shoulders thoracically. When we're anxious, we just breathe thoracically up here. You'll see sometimes people breathing with their shoulders. That means they're breathing wrong, but we all do it. We want to be breathing into our stomach, diaphragmatic breathing. We're filling that lung capacity. That is going to help bring more oxygen to our brain so we can think through a stressor better. It's going to lower our blood pressure. It's going to lower our heart rate. Our muscles can relax. Really healthy and rejuvenating to the nervous system when we do deep breathing. Even just a couple deep breaths throughout the day will make a difference. A really cool thing that God created within us is called the vagus nerve. If you haven't heard of this, the vagus nerve is one that goes from the base of the skull all the way down to the stomach. It's
I have
all
a vagal
connected
nerve
here.
stimulator.
Say that again.
I have a vagal nerve stimulator.
Oh my gosh, perfect. They've created stimulators for this. Yes, and they're so effective. When we are stimulating that vagus nerve, it keeps us in a more relaxed rest and digest state. And I'm going to go into 4 different ways we can activate that vagus nerve because it's really simple. There's like so many ways. I got for Christmas, someone gave me a card deck of 85 ways we can regulate the vagus nerve. So there's a lot of tools you can look into it. I'm just going to go into 4 here. But when this vagus nerve is stimulated, it helps us to calm. So no matter how anxious you are, if you turn to one of these vagus nerve stimulating techniques, it will make a difference. So the first is humming. When we hum, it is hitting the nerve in the back of our throat. So when you are kind of humming during your day, if you're humming during your workday, it's going to help keep you more relaxed and more calm. If you have kids running around, you're feeling a little overwhelmed by it all, humming can be helpful. You can teach your kids to do this too if they're also getting kind of anxious. So humming is one way to stimulate it. A second way is to rub your earlobe. Really interesting, but the vagus nerve is accessible from the earlobe. So rubbing your earlobe, pulling on your ear, doing this for about a minute, you're going to feel some relaxation. When you're doing these techniques, it's very normal to feel like a big sigh will happen or a yawn will happen. That's a really good sign that you're getting into that regulated state. So rubbing your ear is another good one. You can do this very simply anywhere. No one necessarily knows what you're doing. Another way to activate that nerve is on the back of your arm, at the back of your hand, 3 fingers below your wrist. If you press and hold this pressure point, this also activates the nerve. So 3 fingers below your wrist, back of either arm, doesn't matter. What's really interesting is I heard a client tell me one time that police officers, when they are trying to take someone into custody and if they're kind of activated or agitated, they will hold their arm here intentionally and press on that spot because it helps to relax the person, even if they don't know what's going on. So this is a cool thing we can be doing to ourselves too. If you're ever feeling anxious, you can push on this spot, or you can do some of the other ones. The fourth way to activate it, this is kind of a weird one, but it is very relaxing, is if you tip your head over, you pull your head, and then you look up. For whatever reason, this angle helps to activate that nerve, and it's very relaxing to the body. If you're familiar with somatic awareness or somatic experiencing, that's a very popular form of therapy that's being known about. This is one of the stretches they encourage you to do to activate rest and digest in your body. Pulling your head and looking up, holding that for 30 seconds to a minute, you're going to feel your body relax. So those are 4 ways you can activate your vagus nerve, a very simple way to come back into regulation. Another thing you can do is bilateral movements. This means that we're just moving the left and right part of our body, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's looking left and right with your eyes. If you want to pat your legs back and forth, left and right hand, bilateral movements help the brain to process things going on. So not only is it regulating the nervous system, it's also helping us to think through our problem more logically. You may have heard of EMDR therapy. It's a way to process trauma using bilateral movements like this. There's a whole formal way to do it, but we can be integrating bilateral movements in our life, and it is really effective. I find if I struggle to fall asleep at night, I will do bilateral movements with my eyes closed, and I will start to get sleepy and start to get tired and feel the effects from it. So that's a
I'd
pretty
have
cool
a seizure.
yeah, I know, pretty crazy. Um, The other thing, this is kind of a random one, there's something called brain spotting, and it's a type of therapy in science that they have found that where we look with our eyes activates different memories or emotional states within us. So like when you're trying to recall a visual memory, you'll look up. If you're trying to recall an auditory memory, you'll look down. It helps with the eye placement helps us to access different parts of the brain. They have also found that where we look with our eyes helps us to process emotions or to feel different emotions. If you place your eyes in the upper left corner or the upper right corner of your eye field, you will find that one of those corners, you're going to feel relaxed looking at it. It's a really interesting thing, but you could try it out even right now. You look up to the right or up to the left, and when you hold it there for a little bit, you're going to feel this relaxation come over your body. So this is a simple way to calm your nervous system as well, too. And I think it's interesting that in the Bible it talks about look up to God, like look up and praise. I think God knew, I mean, of course God knew, God knows all things, but it's kind of interesting. He wired our brains when we're looking up, we're activating a different part of the brain. We're more resourced, we're more grateful. We can connect with God better. There's something to looking up. So you might try this out next time you're feeling anxious or stressed. Just look up in a corner and see if that helps for a bit. Of course, music is something. Music changes our state. It helps us, our brain waves sync up with the music we're listening to, so it helps the brain to kind of come into regulation in a way. Music is a powerful way, like Christian music too, worship music helps to change the atmosphere in a spiritual way. Gratitude is important too. They have found in science that when we are actively seeking things we're grateful for, not just, oh, 3 things I'm grateful for, and then that's it. When you search for like 10 to 15 things you're grateful for, you have to think harder. The actively searching for things you're grateful for produces dopamine in the brain. So this is where gratitude will help to shift your nervous system state and to bring more peace and calm and joy in your body. The other thing is when we're grateful, we're in a different part of the brain. When we're anxious, we're in a reptilian lower part of the brain. Gratitude brings us up higher. It also puts us in a state of connection. This is why we can connect with God better in a state of gratitude. So keep that in mind too. Even if it's the last thing you want to do when you're anxious, try it out and you will feel your brain shifting. The other thing you can do if you're feeling anxious or worrisome thoughts, fear, name the emotion out loud. They found in a study that when people don't say the emotion out loud, their body is more restless. But when you just say aloud, like, I feel scared, I feel unsafe, I'm worried about how they're going to judge me, I'm worried if I'm not enough, like whatever the fear is, I'm worried about what's going to happen tomorrow at that event or whatever. If you name the emotion, there's a notification part of the brain that gets shut off so the body can relax more. So there's something to really naming it aloud and presenting it out loud, as well as journaling it. I think journaling is another form of expressing the emotion. It does help to release it. And a final thing here is to run from the bear. When we're in a fight or flight response, feeling anxious, our body feels like it needs to run away or it needs to fight. It needs to discharge the energy somehow. Sometimes if you're feeling anxious and you're just sitting there doing the other techniques and it's not really going away, it's a sign you need to move your body. Let your body run from the bear, like move to the other side of your house or go for a walk or a jog. Even dance it out. You will discharge the energy out. So it almost completes for your nervous system, like, oh, I ran away from the bear. I can relax now. So moving your body is also very helpful to do first and then to come back to the other techniques if you find the other ones aren't working right away. Any thoughts, any questions on this so far? Hopefully this is pretty straightforward.
That I wanted to ask. We talk about doing different things to stop the anxiety. How much of that is really mind over matter
Yeah,
versus a nerve
it's a good
thing?
question. You know, placebo effect is a real thing. If you've done it before and you're like, oh, I know this works, and you do it again, sure, it could be a little bit of that. But they have found scientifically that the vagus nerve does really work, even with like the stimulator you have. It's like there is something legitimate they have found to it. But absolutely, that could be a little bit of both sometimes. But if it's working, it's working. So we'll take it. The last thing I want to speak to with this section, with the things we can do with the body, is HeartMath. And I'd like this to be a little experiential right now. So HeartMath, there's something called the HeartMath Institute. They have found through 30 years of research that when we bring heart waves into coherence with brain waves, heart waves with brain waves, we bring them into coherence, it helps to relax and rest the body. It's really interesting. There's a lot of science on it. There's a lot of free information about it you can look up. But this is one simple technique I can walk you through today called the freeze frame technique. So how this works, I'm going to invite you to bring to mind right now, what's one situation that's stressing you out a little bit in your life? Maybe like a mild to moderate stress level. Could be about,
Money.
yeah, it could be anything you want. It could be about you, could be about a loved one in your life, could be about the world at large, whatever it is. Just kind of bring that to mind because we're going to come back to that in a moment. And how this technique works, that there's many techniques. This is just one simple one. See if you can drop out of your head and into your heart space. So you're breathing in and out from your heart. Just slowing your breath down a little bit. And as you feel your body kind of going into that heart space, just notice if you feel warmth there, if you feel kind of calm there. Dropping into that. And if it helps, you can bring to mind what's your favorite landscape? The beach, the mountains, the forest. Picture your favorite landscape with the perfect weather. And picture you're there right now and notice what that feeling is inside, if it activates a feeling in your heart. And just kind of breathe into that and anchor into that beautiful feeling you feel in your heart. That calm, that joy, that relaxation, that peace. And as you anchor into that beautiful, rejuvenating feeling, bring to mind again the stressor. And what you're going to do is you're going to sit in this beautiful feeling and just contemplate your stressor for maybe 20 seconds. And notice if from that feeling of peace, you begin to have an insight, or you begin to have wisdom come to mind about it, or you just have a new perspective on the situation, even just slightly. Just observe how you view that situation from this rejuvenating feeling in your heart. Because they have found when we do this technique, it brings to mind intuitive information that we don't access with the brain. They have found that the heart has its own intelligence that we can access when we do something like this. And that heart intelligence gives us a peaceful reframe for a situation. Sometimes a big insight we needed to hear. So you might notice right now, like, what does that feel like inside? Does that feel calming? If you want to chat, if you had a bit of an insight, you're welcome to. You don't have to. But this is a tool you can come back to anytime you need it, the freeze frame technique that HeartMath offers. Next, I want to go into how do we actually feel an emotion? A lot of us aren't taught how to do this. So neuroscientists have found it takes 90 seconds to feel an emotion all the way through. That means that when we're anxious, we're not feeling something. Again, it's an unfelt emotion typically. So how we want to feel an emotion is we don't want to be like, okay, I'm thinking about my feeling or I'm noticing I'm anxious, but I'm still up in my head. We want to drop into the body. When we go in the body and feel the emotion as pure sensation in the body, like the tightness in the chest or the knot in the stomach, when we accept and allow that to be here fully and be with it as a sensation, not as a story in the mind, the emotion has the capacity to move through within a minute and a half. It can be very quick like that. The really interesting thing is a lot of times I don't think we even realize we're resisting feeling things, or we think we're feeling it, but if it's not going away, it tells us there's more to be felt. There's still an energy or an emotion inside that needs to be discharged. So we could even try this right now. Notice in your body, do you feel a little bit of tension, contraction, anxiety somewhere? Whether that's a little bit in your stomach or a little bit of anxiety in your chest. If it helps, you can think of a stressful situation to kind of activate that feeling. And when you kind of notice that little bit of tension, wherever it is, drop out of your head and into that sensation and breathe acceptance into it. We're fully allowing and accepting the sensation to be here exactly the way that it is with no agenda. Opening to it, allowing it to be here with acceptance. And notice what happens. Notice if it starts to build and then relax. Sometimes it just relaxes. But typically what you will find is if you just sit with it with acceptance, it starts to dissipate. It starts to go away. So this is a really powerful thing you can keep in mind for any emotion that you feel. Anytime an emotion comes up and it's like, oh, this is a lot. How can I just be in my body and sit with that and accept it and allow it to be here even more? That is a powerful way to process our emotions. So that way we're not going into anxiety. It's a way to turn off the fire alarm. The fire alarm can turn off when we go in the body and we feel it through. So as you know, anxiety is something that's felt in the body, but it's also something that stems from a belief system. So we talked about the body. How do we regulate the body? That's one way to come back to peace. But we also want to think about how do we shift our mindset? How do we renew our mind? So the work of Byron Katie is a really amazing woman. She's figured out this very simple 4-step process to help work through any time we're resisting reality or we're feeling anxious about a situation or we're judging a situation or a person. This is a great technique to come and renew the mind, to kind of break out of that gridlock of thinking that's keeping us stuck in anxiousness or fear. So if we could say with any kind of fear we have, at the root of it, it's the belief system of it's not going to be okay. In one way, shape, or form, there's a belief system of that in there. It's not going to be okay. So the first question you want to ask that statement is it true? Is it true that it's not going to be okay? Sometimes the fear is going to say, yep, this feels really true. I don't think it's going to be okay. That's what I believe. So then you follow up with that second question. Is it absolutely true? Is it 100% true that it's not going to be okay? And the truth is no, I can't 100% know that it's not going to be okay. So no. So then you go into step 3. When I think that thought it's not going to be okay, what happens? What do I feel inside? Maybe like I feel contraction in my body. I get irritable and take it out on my loved ones, or I shut down and I go into a freeze response. So you're noticing this thought created this result. So you're kind of disidentifying from that thought a little bit. Oh, this thought is creating this, not the situation. The other powerful question in this third step is, who am I without this thought? So if you think of a situation in your life right now that's actually stressing you out, with the kids, with the finances, with work, whatever it is, bring to mind a situation that's actually stressing you out. And if you're thinking that thought, it's not going to be okay, or you can switch it with another thought that you're thinking. Maybe Like it's not going to work out in the end, or I don't trust this person, or I'm worried that they're judging me. Like whatever that negative thought is that's creating your anxiety, be in that thought of the situation and mute the thought. If that thought wasn't there anymore, how do I view the situation? How do I feel inside? Oh, you might notice, like I notice, if that thought was gone and I was in the same situation, I feel lighter inside. I'm not so worried about it. Actually, I want to take action now, but I'm not frozen anymore. You'll notice just by muting the thought alone, you're going to feel a lot of relief with your situation. And again, it shows how much our thoughts create so much of our anxiety. And it's not always very necessary if we take it through a process like this and we can see the truth beyond the thought. So the fourth step of this is the turnarounds. So basically, if let's say again that the thought is it's not going to be okay, we want to flip it to the opposite. It is going to be okay. And we want to find 3 pieces of evidence for how it's going to be okay. So let's say if you're worried about your finances, for example, and if your thought is it's not going to be okay, your brain has found lots of evidence for that. We want to balance it out with evidence for the opposite. So if you mindfully ask yourself, how is it true that this is going to be okay? You might recognize, oh, if I'm looking for evidence that it's going to be okay, your brain will find it. Like, well, God is always going to take care of me. So I know it's going to be okay because of that. Or, I can do these 3 steps to generate more income this month. So it's going to be okay. I can think of other times I didn't have enough finances. I was always okay. It always worked out in the end. So you find the evidence for how it's going to be okay. And you will find as you find the evidence for those thoughts, your body will find much less anxiety. That fear will begin to dissipate. It's like we're popping these thought bubbles. So then, oh, what's left is this truth, this peace that's here. You can also flip it to, instead of it is going to be okay, to it's not going to be bad. You can flip it different ways, whatever feels right for you with your situation. And you can also flip it to I'm going to be okay. So there's different turnarounds. Again, you can look up the work of Byron Katie. Her information's free online. She has a podcast. You can see her doing the work with multiple people with multiple situations, like very intense situations. And she helps people to find the grounded truth beyond the illusion of what the mind was telling them, creating the anxiety. Really powerful work. So don't underestimate the power of mindset work when you're feeling anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And the other element of this I want to bring up is this powerful tool of compassionate self-forgiveness. So when we go through the work of Byron Katie and we're questioning our thoughts, we're seeing the truth beyond them, we're finding evidence for the positive, helps bring peace. It can help to go in and forgive ourselves for buying into the misunderstanding. So for example, I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding that it's not going to be okay. The truth is, and then you assert what the truth is. The truth is, I don't need to be in control when God is. Or the truth is, this too shall pass. Or the truth is, God will use everything in this for good and all will be okay. So you're forgiving yourself for buying into that anxiety. Forgiveness is a powerful process to bring more peace into the body too. You can also, repent. Like sometimes we're buying into beliefs that it's keeping us stuck in a situation and we want to repent to God about it too. Like, God, I'm sorry that I fell into despair. And I'm asking for your truth right now. God, what is the truth you want me to know? I think it's beautiful to integrate spirituality into any of these techniques. Like, God, what is the truth about the situation? I'm believing it's not going to be okay. What's the thing you want me to believe? And he will bring to mind some peaceful, wise truth. And I find that HeartMath tool, if you're struggling to hear God, you can do a HeartMath tool like that, and you're going to find more of that peaceful wisdom comes forward and trusting God is in the peace. He's speaking to you there. So compassionate self-forgiveness is another powerful thing we can be doing to help with anxiety. The other thing that I want to go into is how we can change our relationship with anxiety. When we change our relationship with anxiety, the anxiety will change. It's another way of saying whatever's blocking us from peace, we change our relationship with the block and the block changes. Peace is there. So internal family systems, or IFS, this is a form of therapy that I specialize in. I did a book club on this earlier this year. You can go back and look at the replays in the Rising Tide Fellowship if you want to learn more about how to do this. We'll do a little bit of this right now, though. So if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out, This is a beautiful representation of what IFS is, or parts work. Within all of us, we have a little angry part, a sad part, a joyful part, disgusted. We have all these different parts of us inside. Any emotion we feel, we can think of as a part of us. And this includes anxiety. In the second Inside Out 2, it's a Pixar movie they made. In the second movie, they introduced this character called anxiety. Within every single person, there is an anxious part. The problem is these parts try and get control of the driver's seat. You can think of like a 5-year-old trying to get in the steering wheel of a car and drive. They don't have their driver's license. They shouldn't be driving. We want to put them in the passenger seat to inform the driver. We, at our truest self, are the driver. These parts of us, like the anxiety, they can inform us if there's something wrong. We don't want them driving the car so much.
Yes, to the key that night.
Yeah, so within every person, underneath all the parts, is our truest self. In the movie Inside Out, joy was kind of the representation of this. Our truest self, this is who God created us to be. It's calm, connected, creative, compassionate. It has clarity, it's confident, curious, and courageous. So our true self is always anchored in God's peace. Anytime we're not feeling peace, it just means a part of us has taken control of the ship. A part of us is driving the car right now. And we can always come back to this true self. It's the imago Dei. We're made in the image and likeness of God. It's God within us. We're wanting to go back and access that is always available within us if we know how to get there. So some important things to keep in mind with IFS, with anxiety, is that no part of us is bad, which might feel a little strange to say, but the part of us that's anxious, for example, is just here to protect us. It has a good intention. Within every single part of us, whether that's anxiety, if it's anger, if it's sadness, if it's disgust, there's always a good intention for why it's showing up. But we have to take time to slow down and to be with that part of us to extract the good information it's actually seeking for us. A lot of times these parts of us, such as anxiety, they're really exhausted for playing their jobs. Our truest self, when we come home to who God made us to be, we're naturally relaxed there. We don't have to strive and put effort in there. These parts of us, when we go into an anxious version of ourselves, then we get really tired easily, right? So we want to come back to this. So anxiety, this part in a sense, has innocently bought into the misunderstanding that we have to stay fearful to stay safe. So the ultimate desire is peace or safety. That's ultimately what these parts are looking for us. So what we will go into is an actual process so you can try this on right now. And I like to integrate God into this for those who want to bring God into it. Like, I just think that's always the most powerful thing we can do. But we want to introduce anxiety or fear, these fearful parts of us. We want to introduce them to the peace that's within us, God within us. We can also just say, I want to introduce them to God. Cut me out of it. I just want to bring them to God. We can think of it that way too. Whatever we judge and identify, we're stuck with. So if we're ever judging an emotion, such as anxiety, or I'm tired of feeling anxious, I'm tired of feeling so stressed all the time. If we judge it, we're stuck with it. If we identify with it, we're also stuck with it. When it's like, I am anxious, I am a stressed out person, I am all of that, we're identifying with anxiety. And we've forgotten who we truly are. It's not anxious. A part of me is feeling anxious right now, but it's not who I am. So if we judge it and identify it, we're stuck with it. But when we accept the emotion, we allow it to be here, and we don't identify with it, then that emotion can move through. Then we're free of it. Then we can see the wisdom beyond it. So I know for some of us, you were in the book club, so you've already done this before. So we'll just apply this right now to a situation in your life that you're feeling some fear, anxiety, feeling kind of stuck with, anything like that at all. We'll apply this to that. So bring to mind just whatever the situation is that you are just feeling kind of anxious or whatever about. We'll be working with that in a moment. And now bring to mind your most authentic self. Calm, confident, compassionate, clarity, all the best qualities of who you are. You can close your eyes if you like for this, if you're able. Just anchor into the truest version of yourself. And even that alone will be very rejuvenating for the body, to anchor into who you are at your core. Calm, compassionate, kind, and loving. Peaceful. So this is the true self. This is going to be you, the version of you that's talking with anxiety here. So now we want to identify, where is this part of you? So think of that mildly like stressful situation in your life, and notice when you think of that situation, like, do you feel a little bit of tightness in the chest or a sinking feeling in your stomach? Does your mind just get kind of active? Just notice how you feel some fear, anxiety, or worrisome thoughts right now. However you feel that, that's the part of you. That's what you're going to be speaking to. So maybe it's a stress in your chest or a tightness in your chest. So your truest self, your most authentic, calm, compassionate you is going to say to this part, "Hi, anxiety. What do you want me to know?" And notice if something just comes to mind. If anxiety could speak, what would it say? And just kind of keep it to yourself in your mind. Anxiety, what do you want me to know? And it'll tell you what's on its mind. It'll tell you something. And whatever it tells you, just say thank you. Thank you for telling me that. I acknowledge that you're feeling stressed and anxious. Thank you. And after that, you can also ask this anxious part of you, what is your deeper desire? Or what is it you're actually wanting from me? Anxiety, what are you trying to do for me? What's your deeper desire for me? Again, if you focus in on it and listen, something will pop in your mind. Maybe it says, I'm trying to keep you safe. Or maybe it says, I'm worried that you're going to fail. Just notice, what is the thing your anxiety is wanting for you? It's deeper good intention. Whatever it tells you, just take a moment to thank it. Thank you for how you're trying to serve me. Thank you. That's what you're wanting for me. That, like, you want me to feel peace. You want me to feel safety. You want me to not feel judged. Thank you for that. These parts of us are tired, and they don't get recognized very often for the hard work they're doing trying to keep us safe. So take a moment to thank it. And notice how that feels inside to that part of you. And then the last question is, we're going to ask anxiety or stress, what do you need? And it'll tell you, like, maybe it needs a hug. Maybe it needs rest. What does your unique part of you say that it's needing right now? And whatever it's telling you, this is where we can invite God in to meet the need. So we can literally invite the Holy Spirit to come right now and to guide your imagination to give you the thing that that anxious part is looking for. If it's needing a hug, visualize God wrapping you up in a big hug. If it wants rest, invite God to come and take it and lay it down in a meadow where it can take a nap. Whatever the deeper desire is or the need is, let the need be met right now with God, and trust that God is actually meeting that need through your imagination, because whatever we see in our mind, the body responds to as if it's real. So God will heal you through that. And when that need has been met, you will feel a shift inside. If you don't feel a shift, go back a couple steps and ask it again. What do you need? How do you need that need met? Whatever it tells you, just sit with it quietly and offer it that need with God. And when you really take it in, you will feel that shift inside. You will feel that anxiety begin to dissipate. You will feel this peace or this rest or this calm, whatever it's looking for. This is a process you can come back to anytime you need with any kind of emotion, because these emotions are just parts of us. They're just, think of it like inner children inside. They're just these little kids and they're just trying to get our attention. Fear and anxiety is just a part trying to get our attention to let us know something's wrong. And when we slow it down and acknowledge it, we give it attention, we give it what it needs, it's off running and playing again. This part can be off doing something else. It doesn't have to get our attention to be anxious anymore. So when we change our relationship with anxiety, our anxiety will change. So these are the three things I wanted to go into today, these three pillars. First, the physical body. How do we heal that physical body? What are those tips and tools we can use to help regulate our nervous system? That is an element of this. We also look at the mindset. Mentally, how do we want to renew our mind as God calls us to? How do we want to see the truth beyond what anxiety is telling us? And then this pillar of how do I be with my anxiety? How do I change my relationship with it? How do I bring God to it? How can God bring revelation to this part of me? You can also just ask God, like, even if you skip all the IFS steps, if you're feeling anxiousness, just say, God, what is the truth you want me to know? You just skip to that step. So what is the truth you want me to know? If we go back to the Byron Katie tool. So those are the three pillars we want to talk about. And I just have some final group discussions for us here. From this, like, what is a takeaway you have from this that you want to employ moving forward? What is a way you want to shift your relationship with anxiety? And this might be with the tool we talked about tonight. It might be something different that's coming to mind for you as we talk about this. You can unmute yourselves. You can talk in the chat, whatever you prefer. What's one way you want to shift your relationship with anxiety moving forward? Or fear, or worrisome thoughts, or stress, whatever word resonates for you. I know for me, something that I'm trying to get better at is actually taking a moment to pause. A lot of times I know these tools and I kind of do them on the go, but it's like, wait, let me just pause. Let me get in stillness for a bit and do it so they can actually sink in more. Like just taking time to regulate the nervous system throughout the day is something I'm trying to work on in my life. You can also think of what is a time when you were able to shift from anxiety to peace. I'm just seeing the chat now. Sorry, I didn't see these. Oh no, you're totally good. I know this is dinner time right now, so people are probably busy right now. All good. But it's just kind of even for self-reflection, even just for you to think to yourself. Yeah, practicing the tools for nervous system regulation. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it can be helpful too. Again, if anyone has things that have helped them in their life, this is a time for us to learn from each other. Like, what has helped you in your life when you feel fear and anxiety? I'd love to hear from others. Let's learn from each other. Yeah, I totally forget about the vagus nerve exercises. Yeah, I know, right?
For me, I have a whole set of steps that I take if I start feeling anxiety or panic. Breathing is the first thing I do. But now I'm going to try praying first.
I
I
love it.
always forget to do that. I mean, I talk to God all the time, but I don't tell him exactly what I need.
Yes.
But I do breathing first, and then I do grounding techniques. Do the five: smell, taste.
Yes.
Yeah, I teach that to all my clients too. And if that doesn't work, then I go back to the grounding techniques and I make up a story about each one. So by the time I
Mm.
get done with all five of them, I'm calm as a cucumber.
I love that. So it's like a healthy form of distraction in a way. Like you're pulling
Hmm.
your mind into the story.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, the five senses grounding technique is so great. Five things you can see, four things you can feel with your body, three things you can hear, and so on and so forth with the five senses. Really powerful to bring you into the present moment. Anxiety pulls us out of the present and into the future tripping. So that's a great way to just come to the present moment. I love that. Thank you for
I,
sharing.
I wanted to kind of really quick tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one that has one of these vagal nerve stimulators or not. I had it put in for epilepsy, but
Yeah.
it also works very well for depression and anxiety.
I
Um,
love that.
you have to have it turned up to a certain level for it to work for depression.
Mm.
But Mine goes off every 2 minutes for 20 seconds. I don't feel it. It just does its thing. If it's turned up too high, then I feel it.
Yeah.
I have a magnet that I can, if I have a seizure coming on or I feel anxiety or whatever, I can take the magnet and wave it across the top of it, and it gives me an extra pulse.
Mm,
And it usually stops the seizure just like that.
that's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
That is so cool that they came up with that they figured out that that really works.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. The vagus nerve, it's connected to so many things. Like anxiety is one of them, but depression, epilepsy, um, just like how our breathing patterns, our heart rate patterns, it connects to so much. It connects with like if we have stomach issues, like IBS, anxiety in the stomach, like it's all related and the vagus nerve connects to all of it. So how amazing you were able to get a device that actually supports with this. So
And
cool.
I got it when they were first coming out.
Wow. That's
And so I
awesome.
was like one of the first people to have one, I think. But it made a difference. I was having 9 grand mal seizures a day,
Oh my,
and I haven't had one in about a year and a half now. It's 3 years,
wow, praise God.
so looks good.
Powerful. It really works. It just shows whether it's getting the device like that or whether it's doing these tips and tools to activate ourselves, it really does make a difference in the body. It really does. And our emotional health too, when you do it correctly to that degree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love these two other things. Someone says, I'm trying to say peace, Elizabeth. This is not about you. I love that. Talk about proclaiming truth over yourself. Life is in the tongue, death is in the tongue. Like you're speaking life over yourself. Peace, this is not about you. So encouraging. And notice how that feels in your body. When I think that thought, do I feel peace inside? Do I feel calm inside? That's a sign that this is actually truth. If it's helping me to feel good at that deep level, something in you, like truth will always resonate. And that is a truth statement right there. Someone says, I've been doing my three little pigs method and it helps for sure. I haven't heard of this method before. Very interesting.
Three little
I
pigs.
made
Is
the
that
method.
Say that again.
I made the method. So I like had been trying to come up with a visual for like triggers and anxiety, that type of thing. And so I like started, with the three little pigs. They have like the house made of straw, then the house made of sticks, and then the house made of bricks, right? And so something I've been starting to implement specifically in my coaching group is that we like the three little pigs method basically takes your trigger, your anxiety or whatever it is, and then I'm so logic based because my wound is very much like you can't trust yourself. And
Yes.
so to counteract that, we have logic, 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 and then I'm finally able to move from my head to my heart, right? And then I can get into my emotions. So just like Sandy was saying, I'm like I jump into I start with breathing and then I move into logic. So I have this one trigger and then within one trigger, I bring in three facts. And it's like, okay, number one is normally like, I'm a beloved daughter of God. And then it's something like, I know I'm going to be okay. Sometimes they can be like big universal things, but sometimes they need to be specific depending on the trigger. So yeah, I just throw in those three facts and like as I'm triggered, I do it. But even if I notice, like I prefer to do it when I'm regulated first, so then we can get a pattern going. And then it's works a lot better when we're practicing it. But I called it the three little pigs method because I noticed I was like, my house is brick in one side, and
Mm.
like the foundation is pretty much brick too. But I was like, I got some sticks and some straw on the other side. And so I think we're just like constantly like moving in and out. But yeah, I jump into that because and that is so helpful to repeat because again, I gotta go back to logic, gotta go back to logic every single time before I'm able to tap into that emotion and feeling.
I love that. Oh my gosh. It's kind of like you have your own version of that mindset tool we talked about. Like you're coming to logic first. And it's really true. Sometimes we don't even need to do the emotional mastery work when we just start with logic. That alone will bring us back into this. Oh, I feel a lot more peace already. Like, I don't even need to go within. So, but I love that. It's like you doing the logic, it's creating that internal sense of safety for you so then you can drop into the heart. That's what it's all about. How can we create safety for ourselves in all the different forms? So I love that you created that method. I love the name for it. So good. Um, And then the last discussion question here is, what is one truth grounded in peace you want to remind yourself of moving forward? Like, this too shall pass, or I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We had some good truth statements here. Audie gave some really great examples. I am a beloved daughter of Christ. Like, if that's your first truth statement above all else, like that alone, you're going to feel some sort of shift inside. I love how Elizabeth said, peace, Elizabeth, this is not about you. You can put it in the chat, you can write it down for yourself, or just mentally think of it. You can unmute. What is a grounded statement in peace that you want to keep coming back to? Kind of like, what's your positive affirmation, or what's your mantra, or like, what is that Bible verse you want to keep coming back to? I'm going to be okay, because I believe that universally. Yes, I feel the same way. And again, at the root of all anxiety, it ultimately comes down to that. So to proclaim the truth, I'm going to be okay, that does make a difference. I love it, Kristen. 2 Timothy 1-7. For God did not give me a spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. Yes. Yes. He gives me love and a sound mind. Like, God is giving me that actively. So good. And he didn't give me the spirit of fear. Praise God. We have a whole Bible with all of these different verses we can come to with so many good truth statements whenever we need it. I love that. One that I keep coming back to, I'm blanking on her name right now. Saint Julian of Norwich. She was from 1600s, I think. She had multiple ecstatic experiences with God, where God gave her a lot of revelations, and she wrote them down. And one of the things that God told her, she was really stressed out. She was struggling with all these things. And God basically said to her, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all shall be well, because there is a force of love that moves throughout the universe that always holds us. I love that. I'm like, that is just like the best revelation. I love that God told that to her. And that is something that I come back to. It's actually something my mom and I gave a talk on hope one time for our church. And like we kept referring to that throughout the whole talk. And just for different things throughout our lives to this day, like we keep coming back to that truth statement. So that one always resonates a lot to me. It's another form of, it will always be okay. All shall be well. So I know we're at the hour mark here, a little bit over. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you so much for coming and just taking time to reflect on how can you come home to peace. That's really what it's about. That's what God has to offer us in all moments. And hopefully these are some extra tools and tips, or even things to just kind of stir you to come up with your own tools and tips that will help you get grounded into the peace that God always has for you. So thank you all for being here. I'll stay on a few minutes longer if anyone has extra questions or wants to discuss things, but it was beautiful to be with you all tonight. And remember to come to our event next Tuesday for the Easter gathering. Would love to have you all there if you're able to make it. Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. I really enjoyed it. My friend said, "You already know everything about anxiety," and
I
I
know,
said,
right? You're already
"I,
training it.
I said you can always learn something new," and I did. I
I'm
learned a
so
couple.
glad. I know, right? I'm still
Yeah,
learning new things all the time about it too.
yeah.
Oh, thank you guys for the love in the chat. I love it. Good to see
Thank
you all.
you.
Thank you all.
I got no sleep last night, so I'm going to say good night. Like,
Yes, I know some of you guys are in a later time zone. Thanks for being here. Have a beautiful rest of your night.
thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
That was great, Claire. That's always so good. And I've missed you. I missed you at the meeting today.
I
It's
know.
so